Yes, thank you very much. My name is Comrade Hassan Soweto. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialist Movement, the National Coordinator of the Education Rights Campaign, and a member of the Organizing Committee of the End Bad Governance Movement, Lagos. Yes, thank you very much. I must say that I feel very much happy about the judgment of the Federal High Court, Lagos State, over the suit, the Fundamental Right Action suit, brought by myself and 21 other peaceful protesters against the Nigerian police and the Lagos state government. Because that judgment, the judge, Justice Musa Kakaki, found the Nigerian police guilty of violation of our fundamental right to freedom of assembly. The judge also clearly warned the police against further violating our rights in such a way, while very, very clearly saying that the police does not in any way have any power under Nigeria's laws to suspend citizens' right to freedom of assembly, and to brutalize Nigerians for expressing their right to freedom of assembly. And the judge, of course, as we all know now, also awarded punitive costs against the Nigerian police for their violation of our rights. This judgment, by virtue of its solid pronouncement, as well as the punitive charges against the Nigerian police, strengthens our confidence in the capacity of the struggle of the Nigerian working people and youth to be able to transform the situation and begin to change Nigeria for better. So that this judgment represents a significant landmark development for us because it helps to renew and reaffirm the rights of not just we, the protesters who were applicant to this suit, but actually all of Nigeria's citizens, especially the Nigerian workers, Nigerian youth, the Nigerian students, all Nigerians who have a reason to question the anti-poor policies of the government in power. This judgment clearly reaffirms our right to do so. So the significance of this judgment actually goes far and beyond. It helps to reposition and restore the right of the Nigerian people to be able to speak truth to power. It also revives and renews the confidence of the Nigerian working people to be able to fight for their rights. So I find the judgment quite very encouraging, quite very reaffirming. To that extent, I think that it's a landmark development that renews our faith in the ability of our struggle to actually win. Okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to what immediate lessons can be learned from this judgment is that despite the cloud of hopelessness that surrounds the nation, activists and especially the Nigerian working people and youth should at no time sleep over their rights because we think that nothing will come out of it when we challenge the state for our rights. I think that is one very clear lesson that comes out. What it means to me is that we must always, constantly fight for our rights. We must constantly challenge the impunity of the Nigerian state at every point in time, including those times when we do not even expect or believe that anything will come out of it, because you might never know when something might just come out of it. Because when we started this process, immediately after we experienced the illegal arrest and brutalization on October 20 last year, if we had asked any one of us, the applicants, whether we knew that we were going to get a favorable judgment, we would have said no. We would have said, given the character of the Nigerian state, given the complicity of the Nigerian judiciary, given the corruption of several judges in Nigeria, that it would actually take a needle passing through the eye of a camel, for us to actually win the Nigerian police and the Lagos State government before any court in Nigeria. But we went ahead, to challenge our brutalization, regardless of this very, very hopeless expectation as far as I'm concerned. We felt that the process of us challenging at all itself, it was important, beyond the outcome, whether the outcome will be positive or not. So that now that the outcome is positive, it only makes us even all the more even glad. However, if the outcome had been negative, it would not have removed the significance of us challenging, that brutalization, because what we wanted to establish really when we started this whole case was that the Nigerian state and the Nigerian police will not be allowed to assault the right of Nigerians with impunity and without consequence, and that whatever it will take, anytime any Nigerian, especially activists in the process of fighting for the right of the Nigerian people, anytime they are assaulted or brutalized and all of that, that we wanted to make it a tradition that we were going to always take up the police on each of these misbehavior, regardless of whether the outcome would be positive or not. That was all we were actually out there, to accomplish. So that now that we have this unexpected victory, it only shows that we must not relent, and that we must always have that attitude of challenging, even if we don't know what the outcome might be. I think one thing that we also did right in this case was that we did not allow the incident of October 20, 2024, which is the fundamental ground for the fundamental action suit that we filed against the Nigerian police. We did not allow it to lie down for too long before we actually approach the court. Oftentimes, activists would not even, or those Nigerians who feel that their rights have been violated by the police, may not even be able to approach the court until several months after, even a year after, by which time public attention would have gone away, from the issue, But we immediately, as soon as October 20, 2024 assault happened, immediately just went to court immediately. And I think that the mere fact that we quickly, sue the Nigerian police and the Lagos State government at the court immediately the assault happened, helped us to ensure a timeliness of the case, ensuring that, we place, our issue against the Nigerian police and Lagos State government before the court at the period when the issue was still a burning issue in society. And I think that a combination of a public opinion, which was quite very clear about the issue, which was still burning around the issue, even while the case was still in court, must have contributed, to helping the judge to be able to see clearly how, the action of the Nigerian police actually represent a clear danger, to freedom, to the collective freedom of the Nigerian people. So I think that timeliness of our action, in ensuring that we were in court against the Nigerian police and the state, while the issue of our arrest and brutalization could still be remembered by the Nigerian public, was still a burning issue in the public arena, could be said to be part of the part of the factors that may have allowed or helped us to be able to accomplish this kind of a judicial victory that we just encountered. That is as much as I can say, because at the end of the day, we can't be too sure of what swayed the mind of the judge. But maybe one last thing to just say, which is also very quite clear, is that a fundamental right action suit as this, it's actually a very clear case. That's because fundamental rights in the Nigerian Constitution, they are not ambiguous. They are very clear. The right of every Nigerian person to freedom of existence, freedom of life, freedom of assembly, freedom of expression is quite very, very unambiguous in the Nigerian Constitution. It is said to be inalienable and inviolable. And the Constitution also went so far as to even predetermine, what could be the grounds, for that right to be curtailed by the Nigerian state at any point in time. And it spelled out what those grants might be. If there is a public emergency, a state of emergency, for instance, if there's a state of war, if there's a state of outbreak of public, diseases or all of that, those are the periods when the right to freedom of assembly, for instance, or freedom of expression can legitimately be curtailed by the Nigerian state. So in that sense, that kind of very unambiguous provision of the Nigerian constitution, when it is violated, it doesn't require so much of long-winded judicial advocacy, before a reasonable judge and a court that is very quite confident, of his role, as within the different arms of the Nigerian state. It doesn't require so much for such a court and such a judge, to be able to clearly know, how to pronounce and where to pronounce. So I think that, the superiority and the genuineness of our case is actually the real fundamental factor behind why we were able to win the kind of a landmark victory that we won on this case. One thing that I have to be clear about is that this judgment does not end police brutality, does not end state repression, does not end attack on democratic rights. It does not end it. So that what that means, therefore, is that despite this judgment, we have to expect that every time we want to go out again to protest, that the Nigerian state will still operate in the same way that always operated, which is to try and frustrate our ability to be able to organize ourselves and protest peacefully. And Nigerian police obviously will still act as they have always acted in terms of also trying to violate that right to attack protesters and all of that. So this judgment does not end that. What this judgment does, as I said earlier, is to reaffirm and renew our confidence that only through struggle, only through contestation, only through fighting, that is how we can gain any real victory. That's how we can change the situation, that is facing us in this country. So this judgment is only just a moment, in a very complex, situation. It reaffirms that our confidence. It emboldens us. It encourages us. But that does not mean that we're not going to face the same thing tomorrow. So that nobody should ever even think that with this judgment, that anytime we want to go out to protest again, that means that we're not going to face the same thing. But what the judgment tells everybody is that even if tomorrow we go out to protest and police visit the same violence on us and they also arrest us, we have a court that has pronounced very clearly that we have a right under the law to protest peacefully, and that the police is in error to ever try to curtail that right. So that judgment reaffirms our confidence that we are right by going out, and that those who are attacking our interests, those who are violating our right, those who are assaulting us are the ones who are wrong. And I think psychologically that ensures that for everybody who has to, face a police battle tomorrow, for anybody who has to face police tear gas tomorrow in the course of fighting, for the right of the Nigerian people, this judgment reaffirms their faith that they are right. What they are doing is right. What the police is doing is wrong. That is as much as that is the only significance and the only import that this judgment have. This judgment does not mean that police brutality and state repression will end. And when it comes to the question of compensation, we have to also be very clear that while we will be very much glad that that compensation is paid to us so that we can use the resources to further promote and build the struggle against bad governance in this country, the truth is that the Nigerian police have hundreds of such judgment costs and compensations against them in different courts in Nigeria across the country that they have not paid. The Nigerian police is a seriously unlawful institution that does not respect the pronouncement or the judgment of the court. So they have judgment costs running into possible hundreds of millions of naira that the Nigerian police has not paid. So it is not impossible that they are not also going to pay this one. But the significance of that judgment alone in terms of reaffirming our confidence that we are right to protest, that itself, as far as we are concerned, is enough, even when they don't pay, when they don't pay the money. So just to again, reaffirm what I've said earlier on again, is to say again that this judgment only significance is a renewal of our confidence and our faith in the ability of our struggle to win. It's a renewal of our confidence that, when we go out to protest, we are not breaking any law. We are actually doing what the Nigerian Constitution already recognizes, which is our right to freedom of assembly. That is all this judgment does for us. It rebuilds our confidence. It reaffirms our faith. It emboldens us and the Nigerian people to continue to fight. This judgment does not mean that the Nigerian police is not going to, attack protests tomorrow. It does not mean that Nigerian police is not going to arrest protesters tomorrow. It does not mean that the Nigerian state is not going to repress the Nigerian people forever standing for their rights tomorrow. But the purpose and the significance of this judgment is the encouragement, and the reaffirmation that it does to the Nigerian people that they're on the right side of history when they fight, when they speak up. Concerning the October 2024 incident, which led to this fundamental right action suit, nobody is still being held by the Nigerian police in that regard. And this judgment also clears every one of us of any trumped up charges that the Nigerian police may have preferred against us in October when they illegally arrested us last year. However, beyond that, there are still several members of the movement, the ember governance movement across the country, for instance, who are still either in jail since the August protest last year, or who are still standing trial. For instance, Dramoye, Michael Lenny, and 10 others are still standing trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja concerning the same situation and the same issue. They were also arrested in connection with the August uprising or protest against hardship, and they had preferred against them trumped up charges of treason and attempt to mutiny against the Nigerian state. Obviously, these are trumped up false charges meant to just disparage them and to keep them locked up for years, and of course to also discourage any other Nigerian youth from taking up the state or from challenging the state. That trial continues up to this very moment. It has suffered several multiple delays because the judge has been always absent from court. We have strong feelings that the Nigerian state, the Tinubu government, simply wants to keep this case on in courts for as long as possible in order to continue to use it to hold these activists down, while also using it to scare any other Nigerian youth from joining any action against the Nigerian state. So these 11 comrades who are members of our movement are still standing trial today, so that regardless of the victory we won, the Lagos State High Court, and the Lagos Federal High Court, a few days ago, that ongoing trial of our members remain one issue that is still uppermost in our hearts in terms of our struggle for the charges against them to be dropped. Okay, thank you very much. Well, in terms of what the next steps are, the reality is that all of the issues that led to the eruption of protests last year, August, issues of a fuel subsidy removal, increments in fuel prices, issues of the high cost of food and other commodities, issues of mass poverty and hunger across the country. All of these issues are still very much with us, despite the attempt by the Tinubu government to paint a different picture, to show that the Nigerian economy is performing well, when in the real sense of the word, this has not reflected in the lives of a majority of the Nigerian people. So far these issues continue to exist. It means that the struggle against bad governance would have to continue. So we would like to urge the Nigerian people to expect more protests in the coming period. In fact, at any point in time, we are likely going to be announcing further actions to continue to press home the demands, for the reversal of all anti-poor policies of the Tinubu government. So we are still, having holding discussions within the movement as to when the next date of actions would be, so that we don't have any concrete date yet. The only thing I can say now is that the anniversary of the urban governance protest in August last year itself is coming up by next month, and we are already planning a public symposium in Lagos State in order to bring together all activists, all Nigerian people, Nigerian youth, to discuss and review our struggle so far over the past 1 year, and use that to also map out, the new series of actions that we need to embark upon. So I can assure you that from that symposium, the question of what the next steps will be will likely become clearer from there. But what the Nigerian people needs to be clearly assured of is that we are not at any point in time ready to drop to relent in the struggle against the anti-poor policies of the Tinubu regime. The struggle against the anti-poor policies of the Tinubu regime continues even now, and the Tinubu regime will continue to counter mass protests, of all kinds until all those demands, for the reversal of those policies until they are met. Then, in terms of a random thought, it's just to say that, well, as things stands today, it would appear that the Tinubu government cannot be defeated. It will appear as if Tinubu is already fated to continue to mismanage and misrule our lives for as long as possible. And that's because many people have seen that some of the actions and protests that we have had in the last 1 year against Tinubu's anti-poor policies appears not to have managed to at least even win any concession. And that obviously gives the impression that the Tinubu government perhaps is untouchable. But the reality that Nigerian people must not forget is this, that every government that has opposed the Nigerian people, every government that has put the Nigerian people through pain and hardship, such government have always, been defeated by the mass uprising of the Nigerian people. There is no government in Nigeria's history, no anti-poor capitalist government in Nigeria's history that has taken the Nigerian people through this kind of hunger and hardship, that has escaped the wrath of the Nigerian people. So that from that point of view, it is very clear that anytime, any day, the Tinubu government is going to find itself in the crosshairs of a public anger. And by the time that would happen, the situation will find much more serious, even than what we have today with President Ruto in Kenya. So Tinubu's day will come very soon, because what is very obvious for the past 2 years now is that the Nigerian people, the Nigerian workers, the Nigerian youth, they have never had it this worse. This is one of the worst period in the lives of average Nigerians in terms of the collapse of living standards, in terms of the complete erosion, of democratic rights, and the, very severe hunger and hardship the majority of the people are passing through. This period is also a period which has seen some of the most atrocious inequality ever that you can never say you have seen in Nigeria. And what do I mean by that? In the past 2 years, when the Nigerian people have gone through this very, very terrible hardship and hunger, within that same period, about 4 billionaires in Nigeria, but that is about 4 members of the capitalist elite in Nigeria. This time around, I'm talking of Dangote, and Otedola and Co. Actually increased their wealth 3 times within the same 2 years. And that is according, to Forbes magazine. Dangote and Co. tripled their wealth in the past 2 years that Nigerian people have experienced this kind of agonizing hunger and hardship. So what does that tell you? It tells you very much clearly that what is happening in this country today is not that the economy is even failing. What is happening is that the economy is being run in such a way that the Nigerian people are facing, a lot of as to guarantee enormous wealth and profit for a few at the expense of the mass majority. The increase of the wealth of Dangote and his multi-billionaire friends, is based on the immiseration and the impoverishment of the vast majority of the Nigerian people. So that ultimately, this confirms what we have always said, that the Tinubu government is running a capitalist system that takes from the poor in order to enrich, to enrich the few capitalist elite. And such a system cannot go on and on doing this without it being visited by the anger of the people. So this is just to say that the day of the people shall come very soon. A mass uprising greater than what we have seen before in Nigeria, and far greater than what we are experiencing right now in Kenya, remains imminent. And what we are just doing within the urban governance movement, within democratic socialist movement, and within the civil society organizations that we're working with, and the trade unions, and the student organizations, is to prepare for this ultimate uprising of the Nigerian people. And by the time that uprising comes, neither Tinubu nor his kitchen cabinet and all the hangers on and the palace jesters who are out there right now giving the impression that Tinubu is the next best thing after Shokomilo, none of them would be around, to witness what happens next. By the time the anger of the Nigerian people begins, to rise up like a deluge, like a flood, sweeping away in its path all iniquities, sweeping away in its path all oppression, and obviously sweeping away in its path the inequitable capitalist system. That day is going to come. The day of revolution is going to come sometimes very, very soon. And the ultimate goal of that revolution, obviously, is a better Nigeria. It's a Nigeria that is completely different from what we have now. And that ultimately means a socialist Nigeria, under which the resources and wealth of this country is placed under democratic control and management of the working people, nationalized, to ensure that, the wealth of this country actually goes to making life better for the mass majority, instead of what is happening now, which is that wealth is being used to enrich a few at the expense of the billions of the Nigerian people.